Hey, Stellan cousin. You already know what time it is. In a minute. Orange, orange, in a minute. Orange, orange. That paused because my brain was like, crazy. Three disturbing roommate horror stories. Animated. I love a good creepy roommate after the movie Roommate. When that girl ripped out, that girl was in Disney Channel. She was in that movie, Cowbell, I believe it's called. She was the singer and everything. That one girl, and she got her belly button ring ripped out her belly. I promise you, I wanted a belly button ring so bad as a kid. Seen that scene, did not ask my mama for it again until I got of age to be like, why not? Ain't nobody about to rip my damn belly button ring. But oh my goodness, like, so let's get into it with our homies. I am our scary tales. Now, this video is from a year ago, but they just posted something today. And if you want to watch their videos, go over to their page and subscribe. They upload all the time. You can watch with them. I don't mind. They're our cousins. You know, everybody eat, but as well, you're watching it with me, so I don't mind that either. Either or, it's up to you. Right? It's up to you. But let's get right into it. So, what? Grab your blunts, please. Grab your blankets, a bottle of water, and a bag of chips. Okay? Okay. Let's get up into it. Three disturbing roommate. Like, I'm really excited because, roommates be cutting up. Okay, what was that? Scary Movie 5. Anyway, like, no, nothing past Scary Movie 3. Uh, no caption?
I was looking for an apartment to rent
Oh,
after
that's
moving
real
out.
spooky.
My budget was very less as I was struggling to land a moderately paying job. I was on the verge of living on the streets when I ran into an old school friend of mine. She was more of a classmate than a friend, honestly. We rarely talked as she was often pointed out as the weirdest kid in our class.
So
She had a forever
why
sticking
would you move
smile
in
and
with her?
cold stare altogether on her pale white face. We never even saw her parents come pick her up from school. Little did I know about her, I almost failed to recognize her at first. I was coming from a part-time job when we kind of bumped into each other on the streets. She took one look at me and said, "Holy, what a surprise." I stopped and stared at her for a while. "Didn't you recognize me? I am Natalie, the weird kid." She
Oh,
smiled while saying that, and I did recognize her right there. I get extremely embarrassed for my bad memory. We went to a coffee shop and, probably for the first time, I finally got to know Natalie as a person. She was working as a waitress in a restaurant and living in her parents' old apartment. "At least I can live there rent-free," Natalie said in a mocking tone. I couldn't laugh because that was a huge deal for me. I
I don't
told her
think it's
everything about my
mocking. I think
condition,
she's
and
just,
surprisingly, she
saying it
decided
like,
to
damn,
help
I'm
me.
paying other stuff.
"Look, I can use a roommate right now and you can pay whatever you are comfortable with." She was so kind and not at all weird. Tears rolled down my eyes as Natalie came
Oh,
out like an angel by offering me a roof over my head. Without wasting a single day, I moved into her apartment. It was an old apartment that needed some repairs, but it was better than I could ask for. There was a huge living room with a kitchen and two bedrooms standing on the right and the left, facing oppositely.
that's her old
Damp
apartment?
wallpaper with huge water stains on the wall created a humid atmosphere around the apartment. A soggy, earthly smell constantly swirled into the air we were breathing in. I was unpacking my stuff
You
when I
don't got
felt a
money,
sense of being
so,
watched. I turned around
not
and
y'all,
found
but
Natalie standing there with that same
Natalie,
big
girl.
smile and wide eyes. "Hey, sorry,
I should have
I
been
didn't hear
mad
you
if you hit
coming."
her.
No one ever does. Anyway, I'll be across the hall.
Stop playing with me. Stop playing. No one ever does. So now you have to make some sound when you come in my room. Since you want to be creepy and shit. When you come in my room, hit one of these. Hit one of those. Clap on, Natalie's here. Clap off, Natalie's leaving. I need that every time. Cause what are you talking about?
No one ever does.
Get out.
Anyway, I'll be across the hall, so Let me know if you need anything, and I wanted to inform you about something.
What?
Sure, what is it?
Sounds already
My
raggedy.
boyfriend has a habit of coming home really late, so don't bother if you hear footsteps and our voices in the middle of the night. Oh yeah? Cool with me. Natalie smiled and walked away.
She said, well, yeah.
Even though I acted cool, it came to me as a big surprise that she has a boyfriend. There's a little backstory on this matter, why it surprised me. In high school, we all knew Natalie was obsessed with Jake, just another popular jackass. Her obsession grew to such a level that she wrote love letters with her blood and posted them to Jake's address. It created a huge brawl between the school authorities and Jake's parents. But I felt good to know that she has finally moved on like everyone else. I got a new address and a job in the same week. It wasn't much, but paid better than my previous gigs. I took morning shifts so that I could relax in the evening and finish my diploma online. For being an early riser, I slept like a rock throughout the night. It was 1 week since I moved to Natalie's apartment, and everything was going fine until one night, I woke up hearing laughter outside my room. It took me some time to recollect where I was, and as soon as I did, I could recognize the voice of the person laughing. It was Natalie, no doubt. She was talking to someone in a very romantic way, and I thought maybe she and her boyfriend were chilling on the living room couch. When I came out to leave for work in the morning, I saw Natalie sleeping on the couch. I didn't expect to see that because it seemed like she slept on the couch the entire night. Hearing my footsteps, she woke up and said in an awkward voice, "Sorry, my boyfriend sometimes stinks. Typical men." I didn't say anything and had my breakfast to set out for work. At work, I thought to take Natalie and her boyfriend for a movie treat for being so kind to me. I called her saying, "Hey, would you like to go to a movie tonight? I have got 3 tickets." Without answering my previous question, Natalie asked, 3 tickets? Why? For us and your boyfriend. I mean, you guys have been so nice to me, that's why. But Natalie didn't let me finish. She answered in a hurry. "Sorry, we can't go tonight. Maybe some other time, Holly." She disconnected the phone and I got surprised by this weird behavior of hers. I got a little hurt as she refused me right away. I went home early, canceling all the plans that night.
Stop playing.
I just wanted to go to bed and sleep. I knocked on the door, but no one answered. I used my key to get inside the
Okay,
apartment.
girl, you got some keys?
The lights were all turned off like no one's home. I called out to Natalie, but there was no sign of her. Maybe she went out with her boyfriend, whom I know nothing about. The secrecy in her behavior regarding her boyfriend did make me a bit suspicious though. So, without thinking further, I crossed my limit. I went to her room and twisted her doorknob. But unfortunately, it was closed. So I turned around to go to my room when I saw Natalie standing right behind me.
Hit her.
Jeez, where did you come from? What are you doing here, Holly? Oh, sorry. I was just trying to check if you were sleeping inside because you didn't answer the door. I went out. Can I go to my room now? Sure, of course.
Girl, ain't nobody stopping
I'm sorry.
you.
With a highly embarrassed face,
Make my
I came to
damn
my room
husband
and
itch.
closed the door.
Do
I
you
already
or
ate,
my
so
husband
I
here,
changed
girl?
into my
You
sleep
know.
clothes and lied on the bed. It was around 2:30 a.m. when I heard Natalie talking again to her boyfriend. I came out and found her room locked from the inside.
Why would you
I
just go
couldn't
and try
hold
to
my
open her door?
curiosity anymore. I slowly peeked in from the keyhole, and what I saw gave me goosebumps. Natalie was sitting on a chair, and
Dead
opposite
man.
her sat a dried-out corpse dressed in our school football jersey. The corpse was so old that it was impossible to recognize its face. Natalie held the dried
I
bony
knew
hand
it.
of the corpse
I said
lying
that
on the
man was
table
in
and
there.
said, "Oh, Jake, it's nice that we get to spend so much time together. If not, I brought you home after homecoming. Both of us would have been lonely for the rest of our lives." Oh my God.
Get away
That's
from there
Jake?
before she kill you.
And he's been here like this since homecoming? Natalie got up and kissed the corpse on its lips like she was kissing her boyfriend. She took Jake's corpse in her arms like she was giving him a cozy hug. I couldn't watch this insanity anymore. I slowly came back to my room as quietly as possible and
girl
dialed
said
911.
sometimes he stinks. Yeah,
The lady
this is a
operator took
dead
my call and
body.
asked,
Rotted.
911, what's your emergency? My roommate has a dead guy in her room.
You walk your
He's
door?
crazy.
Cause she don't even
Did
make
she
noise.
kill that guy? I think so. His name was Jake Flanagan. We all studied in the same high school. Please, hurry up. I'm scared of her. Who are you talking to so late? Holly? I turned around and my phone dropped on the floor. Natalie was standing near my door with a small pistol in her hand.
Oh!
Natalie, listen to me. You don't need to do this, okay? Don't be scared of me. Jake didn't feel any pain when I cut his veins. He lied there heavily sedated, and his blood flowed away freely. I will do the same for you. Then I'll finally live happy with my boyfriend and my school friend. You'll be an added collection to my family. Her evil eyes gave me a piercing look as she went on explaining this horrifying plan. She escorted me to a room while threatening me with her pistol. For the first time I entered her room, candles were lit up like a seance, and the corpse made the air heavy with a reeking smell of rotten meat. She sat me down on another chair and started to tie me up to it. You'll have no problem here. Ask Jake. He's been here for at least 3 years, and he is very happy. Aren't you, honey? She looked at the corpse and smiled at her. I realized Natalie never got over her obsession with Jake. It just grew stronger and creepier with time.
And she killed him.
I screamed. You are sick, Natalie. You have always been this sick, creepy weirdo. That's why no one ever talked to you in school.
Girl, why would you say that and you tied up?
Her eyes boiled up in anger.
Why would you say that and you tied up? Why are you talking shit like you're in the position to talk shit? You're not. You're not in no position to talk no shit. You sit there and plead for your life until 12 get there. Because you already called them. You lucky duck. You're lucky that you called them, because if you ain't called them, she would have been snatched your ass up. Let me go back. Because why is you talking shit? Just pissing me off. Talk shit like she ain't just tag you up and told you that she was going to sedate you and cut your veins and bleed you out. Keep in mind, she can still do that and still get arrested when the cops get there. And she's... Sorry, just yawning. And keep in mind, she's crazy. So she ain't gonna go to jail. She's gonna go to a freaking psych ward. It sounds terrible, but I think they get Jello up in there. I don't think you get Jello in jail.
Cool. She turned at me with her vulturous eyes boiled up in anger.
I know that's animal.
She grabbed a burning candle and came at me without answering anything.
What'd I say?
I got all freaked out and tried my best to free myself, but she held the candle right under my cheek.
Now she burnt your fucking face.
The burning flame fried my skin and I screamed in excruciating pain. Now you must be regretting being so mean to me like everyone else, she said. I started to become numb with pain as the flesh of my right cheek melted away.
Damn.
Blood was all over my clothes, and inhaling the smoke coming from my burnt skin, I felt like throwing up on the floor.
All you had to do was shut your ass up. Right? Like, I can't wait till my cousin that be in the comments a kiki with me. I can't wait till she see this shit here. I'm gonna go back a little bit, because I need y'all to hear the insult and see this bitch grab the candle and see her start burning this whole low face. Like, she ain't a hoe, but, like, you just so damn dumb. Because why are you talking shit and you are tied up in the chair, my good sis? She didn't even... Now, like I said, she could have cut your veins and let you blood out. But she didn't even do that. Now she's torturing you because you want to be disrespectful. She wasn't all weird and stuff like this when she was helping you out. You don't have to let your true feelings show, because now she's trying to kill you. I mean, like, you do, like, you can, just not when you're tied up to the chair. And all there is in the room is candles and a gun.
And creepier with time.
Come on, y'all.
I screamed. You are sick, Natalie. You have always been this sick, creepy weirdo. That's why no one ever talked to you in school. She turned at me with her vulturous eyes boiled up in anger. She grabbed a burning candle and came at me without answering anything. I got all freaked out and tried my best to free myself, but she held the candle right under my cheek. The burning flame fried my skin and I screamed in excruciating pain. Now you must be regretting being so mean to me like everyone else, she said. I started to become numb with pain as the flesh of my right cheek melted away. Blood was all over my clothes, and inhaling the smoke coming from my burnt skin, I felt like throwing up on the floor. After torturing me like this, Natalie picked up the pistol and said, "Maybe you don't deserve my niceness so much.
You know?
I might have to bash your brains and dump your body in the lake."
What'd I say?
She aimed the gun at my forehead and said,
Now she mad
"Say
at me.
goodbye to this cruel world, Holly." Just then, the apartment door slammed open and a loud gunshot took place.
Oh!
Natalie's brains splashed all over me as a cop shot her on the head from behind.
Oh, there's an eyeball on her chest. Oh.
Just then, the apartment goodbye to this cruel world, Holly. Just then, the apartment door slammed open and a loud gunshot took place. Natalie's brains splashed all over me as a cop shot her on the head from behind.
Yo.
The 911 call never disconnected, so the operator could hear whatever was going
There's
on
an
in the
eyeball on
apartment.
her chest.
She traced my location and the cops arrived in time. Jake's body was returned to his family. His parents broke into tears discovering his death.
Dead.
He was
Been
missing
dead
for a long
3
time, but
years.
they finally got closure on what happened to their son. I stay alone in a studio apartment now. I don't think I will ever be able to live with a roommate in my entire life.
No.
Hey guys, I see many of you commenting on my videos that this
Oh,
channel
don't
deserves
goddamn
1 million
subscribe.
subscribers. But I also
Never
see
had
the
an
percent
eyeball
of
on her
people who
chest,
watch my
and we
videos
see-
aren't
we see
actually
the-
subscribed to the channel.
You see all
So,
that.
if you like the content, want to support my channel, and want to see this channel reach 1 million subscribers, or maybe 500,000 subscribers, then go ahead, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. It's free, and you can always change your mind later.
There is no
No
such
matter
thing
what,
as a
the
perfect
first one is
roommate,
going to be
but I do believe
my
I was
favorite.
lucky enough to have found one. His name was Benjamin, and he was more than a brother to me. I started college about 3 years ago. My dad owned a huge apartment that was on the college campus, and he told me I could use it for accommodation. I stayed there alone during my first year, as I thought that it'd be better that way. But I eventually began the quest to look for a roommate. It took me a while to find someone, as everyone I interviewed seemed wrong. Well, everyone till Benjamin. I had met him the week before in one of my classes, and he was the perfect mix of everything. He was cool and he had a chill and calm aura. He was also social, as he had a lot of different friend groups. And he was really smart, as he helped me in a lot of my classes. One afternoon, during a class, I asked him to be my roommate, and he agreed. And after the amazing first year, we were like brothers. I remember once telling him, "Hey Benji, I'm so glad I met you, man. You are one perfect
I
dude."
love a good nickname.
I remember him replying to me with a weird look in his eyes, saying, "Nah, man, no one is perfect, especially not me." At that time, I didn't understand what he meant by that, as I didn't agree with him. But it took me 3 years before I came to realize that no one is really who they seem to be.
Damn,
After
is
3
it
years of
four?
amazing nights, great parties, and many great memories with Benjamin, the year 2020 came with a different
Don't you hate when you get a whole bunch of memories already? Like, I have so many memories with people that are so terrible. So many good memories. And you can't think about that good memory without thinking about that shitty person.
tune and a slew of surprises. The unexpected lockdown being one of them. And while I know this affected everyone, it affected some more than others, as it began to bring out a side of my roommate I had never seen before.
You were locked
Within the
with
first
him in
week.
you were locked in with him. A lot of people divorced after being locked in with each other. My husband's my best friend. I found him after the quarantine. But if we found each other at the beginning of quarantine, the lock-in, we probably would have been married once we came out of the quarantine. Once the world opened up, we would have got married because he's my best friend. You can bicker and argue with a friend. You can do everything that you do. You can bicker and argue with your friends, but it's the way you guys come back together that's important. Like what?
Out a side of my roommate I had never seen before. Within the first weeks, my roommate Benjamin had become a completely different person. The person who was once calm became highly irritable. His eyes were always puffy and red, and he always seemed
Is he
anxious.
crying or is
He began to avoid me entirely. He also didn't eat right, and he spent most of his time locked up in his room. I tried talking to him numerous times, but I was always pushed away.
Aww.
One night, I remember waking up half asleep. My eyes were foggy, but out of the corner of my eye, I could have sworn I saw Benjamin diving his nose into what seemed to be a hamster. I didn't understand what was going on, as it looked like he was smelling the animal. I knew he didn't have any pets, so no matter how much I tried, my mind couldn't explain what was going on. I remember ignoring it and going back to sleep, as since we didn't talk anymore, I knew asking would do me no good. As the months went by, Benjamin became worse, as whatever was ailing him made him look depleted. It was obvious he needed something he wasn't able to get due to the lockdown. And the lack of whatever it was that he needed began to mess him up. Once again, I tried to ask because I really wanted to help him, but all my efforts were in vain. I remember telling him, "Just tell me what it is, man. I'm here to help you, and I can't do that if I don't know what it is." But as usual, nothing but silence answered me, as Benjamin had become mute. Little did I know that by the end of the week, I would soon find out what he wanted. And it was something that I didn't want to give. It was on a Friday night. I had spent the whole day playing video games. As like everyone, I was inside all day, and there was nothing else to do.
He wants your...
I remember walking into the kitchen, and I saw Benjamin standing there with a knife clenched in his hand. He was breathing hard, and his eyes were bloodshot red. I remember asking him, "What the fuck are you doing, man? I know you've been acting weird, but don't play like that." And that's when he looked at me with tears in his eyes and said, "I really don't want to hurt you, man, but I've tried and it's not working. I've tried getting it from rodents, but it's not the same. I need this, man, even if it's just a little." As he spoke, I could see the pain in his eyes, and I could tell that he was fighting with whatever was controlling him. I remember walking closer to where he was standing.
Why are you walking closer if he got a knife?
I don't completely understand what you're saying, but I'm your brother, man, and I'm here to help, if you'd let me.
He's gonna stab.
And as I approached him to touch his shoulder, he viciously swung the knife at me. I narrowly dodged the attack, and before I could say anything, he attacked me again. I saw the look in his eyes, and I realized that whatever he had been fighting with for the past few months had completely taken over. And if I didn't defend myself, my roommate was going to kill me.
Hit his ass with
He attacked me numerous times before I finally managed to get a hold of the knife, and we began to struggle. We struggled for a while as I fought to take the knife away from him, and as I was about to pry the weapon out of his hands, that was when Benjamin kicked me in the shin. The pain made me let go of the knife, and without thinking, he struck me again. This time, I wasn't quick enough to dodge it, and I felt the blade connect with my arm. And within seconds, blood was everywhere. My arm began to sting with pain as a pool of blood was forming on the floor.
With the knife,
The scene was ghastly, but I wasn't ready for what happened next. As I watched my roommate Benjamin rush to the floor where the little pool of blood had formed, and with no hesitation, he put his head close to it, and he began to inhale vigorously. The sight was sickening, as his face was covered in blood as he continued to sniff and inhale the blood like it was a delectable dish with a wonderful aroma. I was transfixed by the horrific scene for a few seconds, but I eventually got myself up, and I reached for the nearest lamp, and I brought it down on his head with all the force I could muster.
Good shit.
He was immediately knocked out. Before I could move, the apartment was filled with the campus security guards, as the noise had attracted them. After explaining what had just happened, Benjamin was restrained and I was bandaged up. I couldn't stay in my apartment that night as it was searched. Numerous dead hamsters were found in our apartment, and each of them were perforated to death as there were numerous holes found on their bodies. I was dumbfounded and confused as I had no idea what was going on. I was told I couldn't stay in my apartment until I was allowed to. After a while, I was called in for questioning by the campus security, and I retold the experience that happened the day before. I remember asking, "What about Benjamin? What happened to him? Why did he attack me? Is he okay?" The campus security guard then replied with, "I can tell you guys were close, so I'll tell you. For the past 2 years, numerous cases of attacks have been reported around the campus as people were knocked unconscious, and when they woke up, they all found numerous small cuts on their bodies. We have been trying to find out who the attacker was for a while now, but after yesterday's event, and in addition, your statement and his confession, we realized that it was Benjamin Robinson." I remember asking, "Why is he doing this? Is he a killer?" And that's when he replied to me with, "No, kid, your friend isn't a killer. He isn't a cannibal either. Rather, he's just a struggling addict." An addict?
Oh,
I
what?
asked, and that's when it was revealed that Benjamin had a morbid addiction of sniffing blood. It was something along the lines of inhalant abuse. But it was different as it's really rare to see blood being used as an inhalant. I was told Benjamin was taken to receive medical help as he couldn't help himself. When the campus security guard was done, I remember saying, "I thought I knew him." And that's when the officer said, "Well, man, you always think you know someone."
Crazy.
The experience was a real eye-opener for me because I had lived with him for over 3 years and I never realized that he had this addiction. I guess the moral of it all is that we should all keep an eye on our loved ones, as they may be putting up a facade, and we never know which one of them is struggling with demons.
Crazy, yeah.
I used to be roommates with an introvert, which was great since I'm an introvert too. His name was Albert, and we shared an apartment about half an hour away from the university we both attended. Aside from being both introverts, we didn't really have anything else in common, so we mainly left each other alone.
So y'all
We
are
majored in
friends.
completely different fields too. He was working towards a master's degree in paleontology, while I was studying computer programming, so we didn't even have any classes at the university together. For the longest time, our interactions were limited to eating breakfast together with barely any small talk. Then one day, I left the town for a week due to a family emergency. My grandfather had passed away from a heart attack, and I needed to be with my parents to give them support and grieve with them. Last I heard from Albert, he was busy working on some sort of secret project at the university that he seemed excited about, but wouldn't or couldn't say much about. It wasn't my business, so I didn't pry much about it. I had my own problems back home to deal with anyways.
That's fair.
When I returned to our apartment, I found Albert sitting on the couch with a plate of ribs that had been completely picked clean in front of him. His eyes widened in surprise when he saw me, and I noticed for the first time how bright and green they were. "Oh, hey there. Hey, Albert. Sorry for coming back unannounced. I couldn't contact your phone."
That sounds a little.
"Oh,
romantic.
yeah. My phone was out of batteries." "Your phone was out of batteries for 3 whole days?" "Yeah, I was busy."
What are you doing?
Most people I knew would have gone crazy if they were away from their phones for more than an hour. Then again, Albert wasn't like most people I knew, so I brushed it off as one of his quirks. Things only got weirder from there, though. Albert was still introverted as he ever was, if not more so. He spent the following days isolated in his room, apparently still working on whatever project the university had given him. Sometimes, I'd even hear him leave the apartment through the front door in the dead of the night, though I never confronted him about it. A few days after coming back home, I was approached at the university after my classes by a professor I'd seen around but never talked to before. He looked like a normal man in his 40s, well-groomed, salt and pepper hair, and wearing a tweed suit that went out of style decades ago.
You look like old boy daddy.
"Excuse me, are you James Elric?" "That's me. Can I help you, sir?" "Yes, my name is Professor Marshall. I'm Albert Weston's professor. He and I have been working on a very special project for the university. I've been told that you are his roommate." "That's right. Is he in trouble?" "Well..." The man paused with a hesitant look on his face.
Speak.
"It'll
sir.
probably be easier to show you than to tell you. Please, come with me to the paleontology department."
I don't think.
I was more than a little
I think
worried,
you
but
just tell me.
did as I was told. If Albert was in trouble, I didn't want to make things worse by refusing to cooperate. Professor Marshall led me across campus to a building I've never bothered to learn existed before. Once we were inside, he scrolled through his phone and handed it to me with its screen showing a photo of a dark-skinned man sleeping on what looked like a metal table. What's this? That's the project Albert and I are working on. You're looking at what was probably the world's most well-preserved mummy, found frozen in the ice in the Himalayas. Was?
Okay.
That's what I wanted to talk to you about. The professor led me past a room where hundreds of fossils were on display, and into a room in the back that read, "Staff only." My curiosity was at its peak when I entered the cold but well-lit storage room where countless fossils were kept in sterile white cabinets. He led me to the very end of the room and stopped next to a cabinet, which housed a single box the size and length of a human coffin. He pulled the box out and gently laid it on the floor as I watched over. I must warn you, what you will see might be disturbing, but you need to see it to understand the gravity of the situation.
I really don't.
I stared at the coffin-shaped box, overwhelmed by morbid curiosity at what could be inside. Is that the mummy you were talking about? Was. The professor opened the lid to the box and I gasped in surprise and horror at what was inside.
What's in it?
The mummy was gone. Most of it, anyways. The only thing left in the box was loose, dark skin that once belonged to a human being. It was perfectly intact, save for the area around its mouth. The skin on the face was twisted into a look of terror made all the more horrible by the empty black pits where the eyes should have been. His cheeks had been split open, starting from the corners of his lips and ending at his earlobes. We found the mummy like this the night after Albert was studying it here alone. I've tried to contact him about it, but he wouldn't pick up his phone. Can you bring him to me so I can talk to him about this? I'd like to hear how it became like this from him, but I don't want to contact the police if I don't have to. Oh, of course. I'm sure he has an explanation for this. He can just be a little shy around people is all. I led Professor Marshall to our apartment and let him inside. I knew Albert had to be home because his shoes were still next to the door. So I went straight to his room and knocked on the door. Hey, Albert, are you there? Yeah, said his voice from the other side of the door. Professor Marshall's here to talk to you. Something about the project you were working on? I promise, Albert, I won't be mad, the professor assured him. I just want to ask you about what happened. A tense silence fell on the apartment. Professor Marshall and I looked at each other in concern. Before I could say anything to Albert again, an ear-splitting scream caused us both to double over, clutching our ears. It started out sounding like Albert's voice, but grew so shrill and loud that it didn't even sound human anymore. I tried to force the door open, but found the door locked. By the time Professor Marshall and I were able to force the door open by bashing the knob with a fire extinguisher, the screaming had stopped. The curtains of the open window were rustling in the wind when we entered, and laying on the bloodied white bed was Albert's skin. Like the mummy back at the university, his cheeks had been split wide open as if something had forced in or out of him through his mouth. What little was left of his face was twisted into a look of sheer terror, with soulless black pits where his bright green eyes once were.
Yeah.
Professor Marshall and I called the police, but as expected, they couldn't make heads or tails of the situation. One officer even had to throw up in my bathroom. I've tried to forget about what happened, but I'm reminded of Albert and the thing that was pretending to be him every time I walk past his room. Whatever was inside the mummy Professor Marshall and Albert were studying, it wasn't content to stay there. And it's probably hungry after being asleep for so long.
So yeah, I enjoyed this one too. I knew I would. Like I said, hey, thank you for joining me. Hey, Tate Hurt. I hope you enjoyed the videos. If you're on YouTube wondering who I'm talking to the stream on Twitch. If you want to join Elephant Chatting. This is gonna be so excited. But as I was saying, my favorite video as I said, was going to be the first one because what that twist was ridiculous. Old girl had Buddy in the damn room, sitting in the chair, dead. Like, come on now. You talk about her boyfriend, girl. You ain't never seen that man before. She said that you would hear her voice. You didn't. You didn't hear nobody. She said that you would hear his voice. You didn't. You heard nobody's voices but hers. Why would you think that anybody's up in there with her? Come on now. And then the second one, what a twist. Y'all was best friends, homies, 3 years. Y'all get locked in together. He trying to get your blood? He don't even want to kill you. He just want to smell it. So that little pluck finger you could have did. Should be told, like, if he was really like, if he would have said it to you, like, I feel like if he would have said it to him, if he was like, bro, I just have a really crazy issue, I have to smell blood, he would have probably like pricked his finger or something, put it on a paper towel and gave it to him because he was like that. He said that you're the best man I ever met. So, meaning he would have done it for him. It was him slicing him up. That's where he was like, no, not doing it. And this last one, he was possessed. Demons. Like I said. Well, no, not like I said. Like I be saying. Demons be up in these places. These demons be demoning. But let me know which one was your favorite. Number one got it for me this time. And until next time, you guys. Bye. I love you.